What's up, beautiful people? Hi, I'm Coach Ricardo Miller, and we're back for another exciting conversation. You want to be a part of all that's going to be shared tonight, and I have my good friend. He's a Bahamian brother, and he has a lot to say because I've been following him on Twitter for a while, and then we've talked about possibly connecting, and then been following him on Facebook. And I said, I like what he is saying, I like what he is doing, I love the whole trend as to what his belief system is. And so, Jermaine, what's going on, bro? How you doing?
Man, it's so good to see you, my brother. I'm doing well. I'm doing great, man. And like you've been following me, I've been following you, man. I've been following you since 1999.
Hey, listen, man, I noticed you went back home. A lot of people may not know what home is for you as it is for me. You went back home not so long ago, and then you had some great, you did a couple of things that was just you had to do when you go back home. Tell our viewing audience where you're from and how was your last experience having gone back home.
Absolutely, man. I am from the place where God lives,
Yes.
the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Nassau is where I went for Christmas. And so, I try to go home as much as possible, typically around 3 or 4 times a year. But this is the first time we've been home for Christmas in about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And we had the celebration of celebrations called Junkanoo, and amazing time. And so took my kids there. We enjoyed that. Had all the food, the delicacies that
Yes.
are common and popular, and that are must-haves when you visit the homeland. And so,
A lot of people don't know when you go to Junkanoo, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, seating is everything, and you had some strategic seats. I was paying attention.
yeah, well, you have to be strategic, and so you got to sit where the action is. So we had some front row seats to all action. Beautiful, beautiful. I mean, in that parade, there was a group called One Family that, I mean, it was a tremendous, and it's a must do if you're going to visit Bahamas. That's one of the times I would say to visit during that Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas or New Year's, because it's a celebration of all celebrations. And so it was beautiful, man. Matter of fact, tonight I cooked some. I fried some snapper.
Okay.
So I had some red snapper tonight.
What you know about frying snappers, bro? You know how to fry some snappers.
Listen, you gotta bring it. You could bring me out of the island, but you can't take the island out of me. And so I just had some snapper. My daughter had some with me just now. So so home is Nassau. That's where I was born and grew up for the most part. I grew up in Freeport as well, which is another island. And now I reside in Charleston, South Carolina.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, you came to the States. What brought you here? Been here. What are some of the things you found yourself doing here that's a little bit different than what you would have done in the Bahamas?
Yeah, so I've been in Charleston for 10 years, but I did my college here in Pensacola. I went to grad school, seminary in Atlanta. Then we moved back to the Bahamas, planted a church where I pastored, and then we moved here about 10 years ago. Okay. And so I've been actually involved in other areas that I did not see myself being involved in, particularly when it comes to business. all of my 20s, I only was involved in church, right? So that's all I knew. I knew church, right? That's where I worked. That's where my education is around. And then here, when I came here, we got involved in business and
Okay.
entrepreneurship at a different level. And so that has been fulfilling on one end, but now we understand that purpose calls as well. And so we've been called to ministry. So presently, just 3 weeks ago, I took on the interim pastor, senior pastor role at a local church, local
Okay.
Baptist church here in Charleston.
Good stuff. Congratulations. Congratulations. That's good stuff. I wanted us to have a very, very fresh dived in conversation. It's the 28th day of the second month of 2023. I believe that days are expensive. I believe that how and what we do with our time matters. I've been following you, as I mentioned. I want to dive into, some of the things you would have looked at your life at this particular stage and say, boy, I wish someone had told me. I wish I had known sooner. And I want us to talk about that and have a conversation to help our viewing audience. The platform here is centered around identifying the principles that make life work for you. And a lot of people don't realize there's a right and a wrong way to live. And you have figured out some of the numbers on the combination lock. I've figured out some of the combination numbers. But I tell people, you don't get access unless you know all the numbers. You don't get full access, at least, until you know all the numbers. And so one of the pursuit, I believe, is that for human beings to be in pursuit of discovering the numbers. And the numbers in regards to health, in regards to finance, in regards to faith, in regards to family, in regards to fun, and I don't know about you, but I've lived long enough to know that there are people who pride themselves on figuring out one of the numbers, maybe two. And let's just say the numbers are 10. But if you figured out 3 and you're the best at the 3, but 3 doesn't get you what I call effective living. You need to figure out all 10 of the numbers. And so tonight I want to talk about what you have figured out so far that, boy, I wish I had figured out earlier, a few things. Tonight, please feel free. Let's make this a conversation. What comes to mind when you first think about a thought? Boy, I wish I had known a few things sooner,
Well, I don't know if you saw what I posted today. One of the things I posted was, last night I posted is that you can still be a work in progress and an inspiration at the same time.
Ooh.
And so I figured that out, right? Like, because as effective as I want to say that I'm living, I recognize that it's a work in progress. But as we are on that work in progress, I imagine like Jesus when the lepers came to him, he said, "Go show yourself to the priest." And the Bible says, as they went, they were healed, right?
Yes,
like
correct.
As we are healing, as we're in this process, God decides to use us in an effective way as well. So, that's a heavy question, man. When I saw that you were posing that to me, it put me in a very reflective place because oftentimes you're making these adjustments, but you never slow down to really like pinpoint some of the things, right? And so I think it's great that that's the conversation, and I trust that it helps people, man. That's what we're here to do, right? To make an impact and to affect lives so that they're effective as well. And that's what I appreciate about you, Ricardo. That it's not only about you living an effective life; it's about transferring that effectiveness so that others could understand the importance of it. And so I wrote down a few things, and we could jump in and talk about that.
Let's dive into it. Let's go.
Dive into it. So I don't know where to start because all of these are important, right? Like. But I wanted to say this. One of the things that when you talk about things that you knew that you wish you knew, here's what I'd say.
Yeah.
Many of these things that I believe that I wish I knew it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not new. I wish I had applied it.
Yes, come on.
So it's not just. It's just about. It's just about. It's not head knowledge. It's not information.
Yeah.
It's the application that I wish I did.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times what we need, the information is in front of us.
Yes.
But what we lack is not information. We lack application.
Yeah.
And so when I thought about it, I said, man, many of these things that I wish I knew it. I just didn't apply it.
Yeah.
Or I just forgot it for seasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the first one that I thought about, Ricardo, was that Seasons change.
Wow. Yeah.
Seasons change.
Yeah.
I think there were things that I took for granted, believing that I would always have access to it,
Mm.
or that I would always be able to just come back to it, right? Like it would always be there. And one of the lessons that I've learned is that seasons change.
Wow.
You know, um, there are things that I did in my 20s, and I did it with no fear, with no apprehension,
Yeah.
that I thought I would always have that level of boldness. I thought I'd always have the level of courage. But
Yeah.
seasons change.
Yeah.
And whether that's for good or the bad, right? So if you're in a season right now where you're down and out, where you're discouraged, where you feel as if life is over, seasons could change.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, I felt I accomplished more in my 20s than I did in my 30s
Wow. Okay.
at a certain level.
Okay.
And it's because I took for granted some things in my 20s that made me make decisions in my 30s that weren't necessarily advantageous,
Mm.
because I figured I'll always be in the season of grace, always be in the season
Yeah.
of prosperity, always be in the season of just growth and popularity, and
Yeah.
seasons change.
Season
And
change. Wow. I love that point, but I'm going to go back to prior to you introducing that. I tell people my greatest struggle is not acquiring information; it is the application of the information.
absolutely.
Every day, it's the fight to this. What's this? I say it's the fight to apply what I discovered. It's the eternal fight to know that when truth has arrived,
Right.
and I agree with what has been said, now I have to do the work to make what I have discovered a reality in my life. So I told people, I've been telling a number of my clients, 2023 is the year of manifestation in regards to what I've discovered. So all of the truths, my book, Effective Living, I've been making it a commitment to work the book more than just simply know the book.
Wow.
Going to this point that you just mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, was such a significant point, is that seasons change. And even on the journey, I was talking to my brother, he's in Canada, a good friend of mine. I said to him, he said, well, Miller, I'm close to 50. He says, I'm going to work real hard until I hit 60, and then I'm going to enjoy life. And the truth is, I said, the challenge with that is seasons change. And watch this. What you could do now, when you hit 60, you may have the money, but you can't do it.
My.
Because you just want to go to bed. I always wanted to go to Vegas. But when you get to Vegas, you won't go to your room. You won't go to your room and sleep. I hate I've always wanted to go on a 14 days cruise. But by the time you go on a 14 days cruise, by 65, you in your cabin more than you out on the deck.
My.
Because there are seasons that shift, and you got to know what season you're in. And so, man, what an incredible point. Seasons change. And here's the deal. I heard P.D. Jake said this. He says, no season is forever, in that of what you just said. But a lot of people don't understand, just as much as you're going through something difficult, no season is forever. So watch this. You know this. We've said it a lot in the Bahamas. And if you're watching, put it in the comment section. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. Living with the understanding that whatever you're going through, you're going to find that there's going to be shifts. And how important is it for us to be adaptable in regards to the fact that seasons change? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Well, I think knowing is half the battle, right? Like knowing that it'll change allows you to maximize the moment, allows you to maximize the season that you're in. And each season has its strength. And so knowing the season that you're in, I think knowing the season and knowing the advantages of that season, I think is important. And so, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're in school or whatever the case is, understanding the season that you're in and maximizing it, just as you said with your friend, like if you're in a season of where you have some money and you have energy, you need to maximize that season and don't wait till you have more money and no energy, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. I think knowing, so you said something earlier in terms of knowing, right? And it's the Apostle Paul in Scripture says that I may know him.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is there is that word is gnosko,
Yeah.
which means it's not a head knowledge, it's an experiential knowledge,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
Yep.
so I think, as we talked about earlier about application, sometimes we have this head knowledge, but we don't have this gnosko, which is the transformation, application, this experiential knowledge. And some things only comes from experience, and I get that. I understand that.
Yeah.
Some things you only gonna know based on your experience.
Yeah.
But understanding first and foremost that the season's going to change and maximizing the season that you're in, I think is vitally important.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're talking about what are some things we wish somewhat we had known sooner. Now, here's the deal. If you don't take time to identify what you have discovered, chances are you won't value it, you won't appreciate, you won't cherish it, you won't hold on to it.
Right.
Tonight, I want to talk about some things, and I want you to really look at these particular principles. Have you accept point number one? Point number one. Having accepted the fact that seasons change, you now could live with an anticipation that something's about to come. Let's play with this a little bit, Jimmy. Let's play with this a little bit. There are some people, seasons change, and the Bible talks about how Joseph interpreted the dream of a season of plenty is coming. Mm-hmm. A lot of people praying for plenty, but they are not preparing for the challenges that comes in the seasons of drought. And both you and I are from the Bahamas, as we are aware that hurricane season is coming, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you can prepare for seasons. What's your view on that?
Yeah, so I'd say it this way. I shared, I think maybe last week or the week before that a waiting season is not a wasted season.
Oh, that's so good.
And a lot of times when we're waiting on the season to change, we're wasting time and not understanding that season isn't to be wasted. That season is a season of preparation. The season is one of being ready. And so, as you said, when in the Bahamas, if you start getting ready for the hurricane when the hurricane is there, you miss the boat. Yeah. Right? There's a season of preparation. And so I believe that when preparation meets opportunity, that's when we live effectively.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And so I think that's the optimal level of effective living when we prepared and then there's opportunity and we walk into the season of manifestation. So you talk about this is a season of manifestation. That means that either you must have prepared or you must be preparing.
Yes. Yes.
Because that's the reality of it. Because the season could come and you're not ready.
Yes. Yes. So good.
You understand? So even if the season change, if you're not ready for the season, then you're stuck because you're still in the old season.
Yeah. So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So either way, it's either preparing or prepared.
Either one. And I was telling somebody this, even in terms of as a single lady I was talking to, and I was saying, you have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? You gotta stay ready, and if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And so, understanding the season. So here's the deal: in my closet, I have some coats and some jackets because I'm ready for the next season.
Yeah. In
my drawers, I got some shorts. I got my tank top. I got my bathing suit because I'm ready for the next season.
Yeah.
I don't have to go running to TJ Maxx or running to. I don't have to go run there every time because I'm ready for the season because I already know it's going to change.
Yes. Yes.
And you know what? Let me tell you this, in a practical way, right? Like as I mentioned, right? You know, a lot of things that you need in the next season is on sale in this season.
Wow. That's so good. Yeah.
Sometimes you could get it for less or for less work or because there's a premium on preparation.
Yes. Wow. Say that again. Somebody need that.
You understand what I'm saying? There's a premium on preparation. So guess what? You know when I buy my winter clothes during the summer.
Yes.
When I buy my summer clothes is in the winter because it's on sale.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah.
So if you understand the season's going to change, you are going to effectively capitalize on time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. Sure does. Sure does.
Listen. Immediately after the winter over, they have jackets on sale. Man, I buying that because I know the season gonna change.
Because winter's coming back.
It's coming back.
Yeah. And now you have a premium jacket. You are at the half the price.
Okay. You understand what I'm saying. So I think that's easy for us to grasp.
Yeah.
But we gotta understand that in other realms, it's similar.
Yeah.
It's similar because we have to have the foresight to understand that season's going to change. As you said with Joseph, and there was going to be a season of drought. So in the season of plenty, there needed to be preparation.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we're not prepared for when the season change because we're not aware that it will change.
Yeah.
And that's why I said that was one of the biggest lessons for me, that not only did I need to know this, I wish I applied it in my life.
Wow. Well, let's go on the second one. What would be a second one?
You ready for this, man?
Let's do it.
So it was something that I used to hear all the time, and I realized that it's not true. Okay. So I wish I knew it wasn't true then. I would be often told that time heals all wounds. And I said it to say this, that in my journey, there's some things that have happened that were extremely painful.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I thought I had to do was just endure.
Yeah.
Just continue to endure. And over time, it'll be healed.
Yeah.
And what I've come to understand is that time doesn't heal all wounds.
Yeah.
What you do in the time heals the wounds.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I was just biding time and not doing anything about it and just saying, man, it just waiting on the wounds to heal by itself. But I recognize time itself doesn't heal wounds.
Wow.
It's what we do at the time. And so, man, I was told that, and I held on to that, man. Time gonna heal all wounds, and not take the necessary steps to be healed.
That is so powerful because there are some people who, I do a radio show. I get a chance to do a show in the Bahamas with Empress, and every Monday. And we were talking the other day, and we were talking about relationship. And I told her, I said, I was talking to a young lady, and I said, not because you've been single for 5 years, mean that you've done the work to prepare yourself for another relationship. Because once again, 5 years of not having been in a relationship doesn't automatically heal you of the pain, the hurt, the anguish. You could have just suddenly laid that to rest. And so you're so right. Even the loss of a parent, and if you've not addressed that to speak to the fact of over the next 30 days, the trauma, yes, over the next 60 days, over the next couple of years, doing that unearthing of addressing what caused certain levels of pain on my journey to ensure that I am stronger than what I've gone through because I have used time correctly. That's powerful, bro. And a lot of people haven't grasped the fact that there's a statement that has been stated to be true that we hold on to that could be hindering us from being free. Because you're saying, well, I just need a little bit more time. Well, 6 months gone. I just need a little bit more time, bro. A year's gone. I just need more time, bro. 2 years have gone. And you're banking on just time will heal the process. When what you just said reveal that it doesn't.
There are people holding on to stuff or that are being affected by stuff that happened in 1987.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's been all kind of time.
Yeah.
But they haven't addressed it. They haven't healed. They haven't taken the necessary steps. Wow. And so you're absolutely right, man. Like, so for me, I know I recognize some brokenness in my life that I was waiting on time.
Wow.
And I had to come to a place where I was willing to be honest with myself that it wasn't the time I needed. I needed to do something with the time.
Yeah.
I needed to prepare myself in a different way. And it kind of coincides with the season of preparation, right?
Yeah.
But it's being intentional, right? I think effective living, as you coined it, has a lot to do with intentionality. My mentor Ken Tucker talks about intentional this intentionalness, intentional relationships, intentional conversations, intentional difference. Like, I think the intentionality of our time is important. And so I think what we do with our time, it can make or break our success or lack thereof.
I say it often, as you just refer to it. I say it often that actually effective living is intentional living, and so you're so right on there. And all of us can do that, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
all of us can do. All of us can be intentional.
Yeah.
You know,
man, I wish I had gone to therapy. I wish I was open. I wish I was honest. I wish I was able to have conversations that would help me heal, as opposed to suppressing and just thinking that time is going to heal, right? And so I know there are individuals that are dealing with issues and trauma, and something that happened in 78 and something that happened in 67. Whatever the case is, when you were 6 years old, 14 years old, and now you are a grown person, and you're still stuck in the past because you were told that time heals, and not recognizing that there's something that you have to do to unearth that, to go back to that and deal with that, and then allow the timing of healing to happen as you're being intentional about your healing.
So good, so good. You said something about a therapist. I was talking about this on another show, and I said that, you know, in our culture, the whole concept of going to a therapist is not commonly accepted. It's are you crazy or something? You have to go to a therapist. So a few years back, I went to book a series of an appointment with my therapist, and Jermaine, I walked in and she said, we started talking, and she said, well, everything in here is confidential. I'm like, well, you don't even know me, and I'm paying you. So and I was like, I can say anything. I can reveal everything. She said, you can reveal everything. I was like, where do we begin?
Absolutely. How much time we got? How much time do
we have? And I'm going to tell you the problem. I've been pushing this now because a lot of men struggle with the whole concept of going to counseling and talking to a therapist, and the whole idea that men hurt and it's okay to get help after having been hurt. Because hold on, one is men hurt. That's a truth. That's that's a truth that a lot of people won't want to accept, but it is truth. And then being okay with knowing that one, men hurt or you're hurting, and then going to get help. That was big for me. What are your views there based on our culture coming from the Bahamas, in addition to being a man and knowing that life does throw us what I call roadblocks or punches in the faces, and then the need to embrace help?
Coach, I'll tell you this. Had I embraced that early in my life, I would be in a completely different place. I think I made significant decisions because I needed to escape and did not have that on ramp, because I didn't know how people would perceive me, or what they would think if I was getting help, and especially not only in the culture of the Bahamas and being a man, but then being a man in ministry.
Straight
Like
up.
God can just heal you, like just surrender to God and just let God, just let and it's like not to take away the power of God, but I think God created and has given us opportunities to be healed in community and in different ways, and so that would be what I would have to say in that regard, because a lot of times that stigma stops many people from seeking the help that they need. And I know that my life would have been drastically different had I had the courage, the boldness. And so, if anybody is listening, I think it's important to understand that it's okay, right? It's absolutely okay, and that getting the help that you need does not show a sign of weakness, but actually shows a sign of strength. That you're aware, and that you're willing to do the work to be better. And I tell you this, if I had embraced that 10, 12, 15 years ago, I would be in a completely different place. I mean, I'm not saying metaphorically. I'm telling you, I know I would be. So when you talk about things that you wish you had knew, man, I wish I had embraced that. I wish I had gotten help.
Yeah.
Because my life would be in a completely different place, I believe.
What's your view on difficult conversations on the early stages of your life? That's one of my things I wish I had known. I wish I knew that it was okay to have difficult conversations, that a part of living life effectively and experiencing the best of life demands that you talk about things, look into things that may have not been what you've been accustomed to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
but you're going to need to talk about. What's your view there on difficult conversations along the way?
I still personally have challenges with difficult conversations, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't run towards them.
Right.
While I know they're necessary, it's not something that I run to, but I know it's necessary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think when we talk about difficult conversations, I think it's important how we approach them, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
is it a difficult conversation because we have to share something with someone else, or have we given people access to have difficult conversations with us? I
So good.
think that's so important because sometimes some people are great at having difficult conversations with others. I don't
Yes.
mind telling them I'll get them straight, but but you sensitive as all get out. Nobody could tell you nothing.
Yeah.
And I
Cool.
think the reciprocating aspect of being open and honest. One of the things that I didn't put this in as one of the things, but one of the things that for major decisions that I'm going to make in my life, I'm going to allow my tribe to be a part of it,
Good. Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so that means giving them access and giving them permission
Yeah.
to have those difficult conversations
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it may not be what I want, may not be what I like, may not be, listen, it might make me upset, but I want to give them permission in a good time. Like, so
Yeah.
once again, we talk about that season of preparation.
Yeah.
Right now, I've had, like, I just turned 40, and I had intentional conversation with 5 individuals after I turned 40 about what I needed their role to be in my life.
Good. Good.
And a
Yes.
part of that is being able to look me in my eyes and have the difficult conversations,
Good.
because I know that there's safety in counsel, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I remember I was talking to my mummy one time, and I was asking her, I was telling something I realized or I learned, and she said, "Well, I knew that all along."
Yeah.
I said, "Mummy, what do you mean you know that all along? You knew this then?" She said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I did." I said,
Yeah.
"But why didn't you tell me?" She
Wow.
says, she said to me, "If I had told you,
Mhm.
you were not in a place where you were willing to receive it anyway. So I
Wow.
decided not to waste my time."
Wow.
And so I don't want to be in a place of making a wrong decision or going in the wrong direction, and the people around me know that I shouldn't go there, but I'm not willing to embrace the difficult conversations, so they leave me.
I teach, bro. I teach that someone is watching you mess up who's capable of helping you. Hey, hey, and you just made it clear.
Absolutely.
Someone
Absolutely.
is watching you who's capable of helping you. Now, here's the crazy thing, and in addition is you have access to the person who can set you free from most of your life's challenges.
Mhm.
But what it is I don't want to reveal that I'm deficient in money management. I don't want to reveal that the temper tantrum that I kick off came from childhood abuse.
Mm.
You know, I don't want to reveal that I'm not good here or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And so a lot of times we put up these walls and try to have a facade that I got it going on.
Yeah.
When here's the deal, the incredible thing about that point too, bro, is that the person who's capable of helping you know you ain't got it going on, but they won't say anything because you have established that rapport that it says I'm unapproachable. And so another point that I often teach is advice given but not requested is seldomly appreciated. You know?
Well, that was the next thing. She said, "You didn't
Yeah.
ask me. You don't ask me."
See? See? Advice given but not requested is seldomly appreciated.
Yeah.
Bro, this conversation is so much what I wanted it to be, and I'm so grateful for how and where it's going. Let's talk about yet another point, man. What additional points you want to share with our viewing audience?
Uh, so I'd say this: choose your battles wisely.
Mm.
because in every battle, you lose something that you'll never gain again. Choose your battles wisely.
Wow. Wow.
I think on a lot of different levels, um, there's battles that we want to fight, and there's some things that we just need to leave alone.
Leave alone.
And understanding that there's a cost with every fight. So whether that's on your job, whether that's in a relationship, whatever it is, there's a loss of something in every battle
Mm.
that you can never recover again. And so that's a little bit of a more deep, and that's a little bit more of a cognitive
Yeah.
reminder.
Hmm.
But I think a lot of times, um, when we're not aware of the impact of the battle,
Mm.
that we run into battles,
Yeah.
not knowing the deep consequence of what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, and so I know there's some battles that some things I fought or I fought for, and even as David said, is there not a cause, right? Like some battles we have to fight, right?
Yeah.
There's some causes, you know. My daughter was a part of a Black History Month production that she co-directed, and they had people like Rosa and Maya Angelou and Frederick Douglass, people that
Yeah.
fought,
Yeah.
and there was a cause. So there's a reason to fight,
Yeah.
but then there's some things that we fight that we don't need to be fighting,
Yeah.
because in that battle we're losing something that we won't regain.
Yeah.
And so I think everybody in their own silent way knows that they fought for something that
Yeah.
they could have just walked away from.
Wow.
And
Wow.
there's some things I wish I just walked away from rather than trying to fight, because
Wow.
I lost something in the process that I'll
Yeah.
never recover again.
Whew. Listen, man, I got my journaling book right here. Right now, some stuff that I'm gonna watch this again.
Yeah. So and this is where therapy and counseling is important, because you don't know, sometimes you don't know what you've lost
Yeah.
till you need it and it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like sometimes you don't know that you don't have something in you
Yep.
until you need it.
Yep. Mm. Yeah.
And you have to recognize, wait, I lost this back there. I
Yeah.
lost this courage. I lost that faith. I lost this tenacity. I lost something in the battle that, man, I need to figure out where I lost it and go back and get it.
Yeah.
And so that's a tricky one though, Ricardo, because
Yeah.
I think there are reasons to fight, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The test of a man is the fight he makes. The gritty daily shows the way he stands upon his feet and takes life's numerous um, blows. So I do believe a man ought to fight. I do believe that there's some things that we have to fight for, but I think it is important to choose your battles.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're diving into a very comfortable conversation that pushes the envelope around what is it that you thought or you wish you had known sooner. And we're talking about those. I'm talking to my brother, Jermaine Walkins, and he's helping us to understand some of the things he wished he had known sooner. That one, what you just shared right there, bro, is major, because some people say I'm built to fight, and they're always fighting. And so they fight with their kids, they fight with spouses, they fight with their your siblings, brothers, sisters, fight with parents, and it's like you never turned off, and the fight within is causing you to lose because you don't have a gauge on identifying what is worth fighting and what is deem let it go.
Yeah.
DM, let it go. Back in the Bahamas when I was growing up as a kid, I got myself in a lot of trouble because I thought everything deemed a slap, a punch,
Mhm.
bust a fella in the head with a rock or something like
Mhm.
that. And in that approach,
Yeah,
I was getting it the wrong way fast. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
And now at this age, having looked at my life and had to accept, there's a ton of stuff you need to let go. There's a look you need to let go. There's a talk you need to let go. There's an attitude you need to let go. Oh my Lord, there are some things that may have been done. You still got to let go. So wow, what a great point, bro. Let's go to our next one. What do you have for us?
So I'm going to reverse this, and I'm going to say this one now. Um, I want to share this real quick on my page, by the way.
Uh,
Um, um, let me share it real quick. Um,
well,
I don't
listen,
know.
what I'm going to do.
I don't
Go
know
ahead.
why I didn't do. I don't know why I didn't do that earlier.
Yeah.
Um, to share it on my page. Um, so this one is coming from a place of someone who was involved in ministry, and and I want you to hear me because this is perhaps when I look at some of the biggest faux pas or the biggest decisions that I made that I wish I knew sooner. This is probably this is one of the two bigger ones, which I saved for last, and that is how God has called you to do something is just as important as what He's called you to do.
Ooh, come on.
So, oftentimes we put the emphasis on what God has called you to do,
Yeah.
and oftentimes God has a way that He wants you to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
In Scripture, God said, um, "Moses, speak to the rock, and water's going to come out." Moses hit the rock, water still came out.
Yeah.
But as a result of Moses not doing it the way God had called him to do it,
Yeah.
the people were blessed,
Yeah.
but Moses had to pay the consequence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think sometimes we might still see outward success,
Yeah.
but when we miss the way that God has called us to do something, we miss what we would call the effective living in our own life.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
and so I think knowing what God has called you to do and
Yeah.
knowing how God has called you to do it is
Wow.
equally important. And
Let's
so,
let, let's let's dive into that a little bit because
mhm,
there are a lot of people who are still just pursuing. I want to know what He's called me to do,
mhm,
right? And then the how demands that there is some internal time spent with self and Him just to
mhm,
be able to capture. Because the role the play in society now is so comparison driven.
mhm, mhm,
The play in society, bro, is so
absolutely.
comparison driven that if we were in David's day,
Mhm,
after David had killed Goliath with a sling and a stone,
mhm,
you would have seen all kinds of infomercial. Get your sling and stone, 5 stones and a sling for $49.95. We're gonna throw
absolutely.
3 stones with it.
Yeah.
And the truth is that was the way God used David to kill a giant. But if you're a man of war, you could still use swords and still win many battles. And so, talk to us a little bit about spending that quality time with God, but spending that quality time with self to be able to identify both in your journey.
Yeah. I think the same God who calls you to do something is the same God who will equip you to do it as well. And I think oftentimes we jump to I think it's so practical because we can do this in any sector of our life, right? So I'm
Mhm,
sure all your audience aren't necessarily church folks or in ministry, but I
mhm,
think you could have a vision for what you want to accomplish, or God gives you a vision. But oftentimes we jump with just the vision without saying, God, what's the strategy?
mhm.
Right? Like, how do you want me to do this?
Yeah,
Because if I'm going to do what you want me to do, I need you to tell me how you want me to do it, right? Or at least give me the steps that I need to take. And I think oftentimes we get excited with just the revelation of what it is that we're going to do, right? And I think that's powerful, right? Like,
yeah.
I think one of the most sought after things in life is purpose. I mean,
Yes.
outside of the Bible, the number one bestseller of all time is Rick Warren's Purpose Driven Life.
Yeah.
I remember when that came out, every church, every corner was doing 40 days of purpose because people want to know their purpose.
Yeah.
And I think it's so powerful when you recognize that and the light comes on and you recognize, it's been attributed to Mark Twain and also Dr. Miles Monroe. the most important,
The
the
two
two
greatest
most
days,
important days in your life are the day that you're born, and
the
the
day
second
you
one is
discover why.
the day you discover why, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, God, I discovered the purpose. I understand the why. And after you understand the why, you have to take time and say, God, I understand why.
Mm,
I need to understand how.
wow. Yeah.
And for me, as a young person on fire and excited, it's like, oh, I know what, but I wasn't patient enough
Wow.
to sit down and get the how.
Wow.
And so whether you're looking to be in a relationship, uh, looking to be married, if you're looking to start a business, you're looking to go to school, whatever the case is, I think it's great to know the what,
Yeah.
but I think it's equally important to know the how.
Wow.
And so um, I just wanna because if I had known that, I would have taken my time,
Yeah.
right? I thought the how was on me,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Like, okay, God, I got the what. Okay, how on me? Let me do it my way. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, wait. There's a way.
Mm,
There's a way that I want you to conduct. There's a way that I want you to move. And I just wish I had known that earlier.
wow. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're diving into the talk. What are 5 things you wish you had known sooner? If you have something, I want you to go ahead and do that. Do me a favor. Put it in the comment section. What is something you wish you had known sooner? I'm interested in hearing what you have to say as well. Put it in the comment section if you're watching us on YouTube, watching us on Facebook. There will be a lot of people who are going to watch the rerun of this. We want to know, what is it that you wish you had known sooner? Bro, you are helping some people out. You're helping me out. This is so rich. This is so alive. I believe as we started our conversation early on with the whole idea of the combination lock, and there are mysteries. The numbers, once figured out, it changes your life forever.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that what we're sharing tonight changes the perspective, the whole view of how some people decide to move forward because what we're sharing. Let's go ahead and get to another one of those points. I'm interested in hearing what you have next.
So, and once again, these are things that, once again, most of us have the information,
Yeah.
right? It's what we lack the application. You know, we struggle with application.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things is really simple, Ricardo, very simple.
Yeah.
But one of the things I wish I not only knew, but moved it from head knowledge to application is it's okay to rest,
Yeah.
but don't quit.
Mm. Yeah.
It's okay to rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I say rest, I'm talking about emotionally,
Yeah.
physically, spiritually, uh, mentally. It's okay to take a rest.
Yeah.
You know, but that doesn't mean you need to quit. And there's things that I quit, but
Why not?
looking back, I just needed to rest.
Mm. Yeah.
I just needed to regroup.
Yeah.
I just needed to, as we would say, catch myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I believe that there are people, that have quit some things, quit some businesses, quit some ministries, quit some projects, quit some relationships, and all they really needed was some rest.
Rest. Wow. Yeah.
All they needed was rest.
Yeah.
And
The
yeah,
song, the song said, "Even lovers need a holiday."
don't sing that too loud, bro. Don't sing it
I
too
know,
loud.
right?
Yeah. I
That's
saw you going low. You're going low. Even love. Yeah, you singing low. Don't sing it too loud. I got you. I got you. But that's reality. That's reality. Like, it's okay to rest, and that goes back to like the seasons changing. That goes back to like the mental health and
Yeah.
therapy. I think
Yeah.
I think effective living is also healthy living,
Yes.
right? Being
Correct.
emotionally healthy, physically healthy,
Yeah.
spiritually healthy,
Yeah.
financially. It's healthy living.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you got to take a rest.
Yes.
Even if you go to the gym and you working out every day,
Yeah.
you can't work out the same body part.
Right.
You can't go in the gym and do chest every day.
Yeah.
You
Correct.
got to rest, because in the rest there is recovery, there's
Yeah.
muscle building, there's a lot of things that happens in the rest that is necessary. Matter of fact, this principle is so profound, and we should all understand it, because the Bible says on the seventh day, God
Rest.
rested. It's one of the first principles that God teaches us.
Yeah.
Is rest.
Yeah. Wow.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So after Sunday, there's Monday because it goes on.
Yeah.
Life don't stop, but
Yeah.
there's rest.
Yeah.
And so I think it's vitally important. And some people, one, need permission or need to be validated because sometimes if you rest, you feel guilty. You feel like So one, let me address that. The person that feels guilty for resting. Oh, people depend on me. You got to rest. You have to take care of yourself. You go on an airplane, you gotta. They tell you put the oxygen on you before you help anybody else. And so, I'd say this. I'd say this. One of the greatest regrets in my life was actually stepping down from my church and leaving. I really just needed a sabbatical.
Yeah.
Because after 3 months, I wanted to go back home.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I made a drastic, permanent decision
Yeah.
based off a temporary situation. And I think quitting can sometimes be permanent, whereas it is a temporary situation. And we talked about earlier that this too shall pass, that sometimes you just need to wait. You just need to breathe. You just need to take your time and understand the seasons change. This too shall pass, all that stuff. But all you needed was rest.
Yes. Wow.
And so there are people that have quit, that have walked away from situations and circumstances. And what they really needed was rest.
Wow. I love how you shared that. I know Dr. Tony Evans practiced having an entire month for vacation, a sabbatical. He served for 11 months and take a month break. 40 plus years in ministry. I see the power behind that now.
Right. Because once again, we're talking about things we wish we knew, right? Like, I wish I knew. Listen, I can't go hard for 3 years in a row, like for 36 months. I can't.
Yeah.
You know? And
I
wish it's a principle I applied.
So good, so good. I was talking to a client not so long ago, and I said, hey, make sure you have some scheduled breaks. You know, make sure you have some scheduled breaks. You're referring to this stuff, man, as stuff you have captured now, and I'm telling you, there are a lot of people like myself who now are engaging in this whole process of knowing how to turn off, knowing how to rest, knowing how to disconnect. And knowing that the goal is not to quit, but the goal is slow down if you must, rest as you need to, and then get back in the game to do what God has called you to do. Let's talk about this. The whole element of deciding to be awakened to discover the truth necessary to get you to where you are. Let's talk about that. There had to be a shift where you just started to say, you know what, I want to discover the truth. And then I want to move towards applying that truth. We talked about it's one thing to have known. And I love how you start our talk with the fact that you knew most of what you already knew. It wasn't applied. What got you to a place where you felt as though, boy, I'm shifting in maturing in a very seasonal, maturing sense of the word, where I'm becoming one with what I probably knew a long time ago, but now no one can tell me. I just need a week and I'll get back to you. I just, this is the weapon I'm going to use, and I'm comfortable with telling the king, I can't use what you are offering. When did you start to become one with what you're sharing with us today?
I think most of us don't change unless there's pain.
It's true.
So when you've experienced pain, it requires change, right? And when insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And so when you've experienced pain in different areas in different seasons, and it's like, wait a minute, I moved from this environment and this pain following me, right? Like, wait, so just moving or just going in a different relationship or starting a different business, like, wait, some things are following me, that you have to be self-aware And that's once again going back to the principle of allowing other people to speak into us, because we all have blind spots, right?
Correct.
Um, I had a friend. I had a friend tell me that they felt I was sensitive, and God, I didn't know how to feel about that. Because I didn't want to get upset, because they would say you being sensitive still. But I didn't know, like, I didn't know what to do with that, right?
Right.
But in a certain area, I was being sensitive because I was being protective of it, and so they were speaking into a blind spot. And until I said, "This person loves me, they understand me, and they're trying to make me better, and let me accept that. Let me hear what they're saying," then I could receive that, right?
Yeah.
So I think pain causes us to change, and I wish it wasn't the case.
Yeah.
I wish we could just be like, you know what, but the story of in scripture, the story of the prodigal son. It wasn't until he was at the bottom
Yeah.
that he recognized, wait, man, he's in a place of pain. He's in a place of discomfort, and I think seasons of discomfort, man. Like I wish I had a better testimony. I wish I could say, you know what, I was just one day I was just reading scripture and God from heaven. No, man, it was pain, man. It wasn't no big revelation like sitting in church and an angel and a dove. No, man, it was pain. It was in the weakest moments. It was in the darkest moments of my life that I said something got to change.
Yes.
And it's because of the pain that I was experiencing that I said, you know what, I got to do something different, right? I think one of the things that for me that was very significant is one of my best friends died September 1st, 2019. That was also the same day that the hurricane hit the Bahamas, Freeport, and Abaco.
Yeah.
But I remember he died the day after his 36th birthday. And that once again was a moment of pain, right? Like it was pain because not only was I feeling pain in my own life, I felt almost pain for him. That there was so much that he didn't accomplish, so much that he wanted to do, and he's not here. And so for me, that is one of three tipping points in my life when he passed away. It was like, wait a minute, like real people that I know has passed away, not old people, not my auntie them, not my grand, like real young people. People, this is my boy.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? This is my friend. This is my colleague. I've ran with him. I've eaten with him. I've traveled with him. Man, this is my friend, and he's no longer here. And it's like, wait a minute, this be me. So there's some things I need to accelerate and be more intentional about because this is real. Life is real. And so it was in moments of pain.
Yeah.
Pain. I wish I had a different testimony, Ricardo.
Wow.
And and I hate that so many times we, not only me, but there's people listening right now that there's decisions that they could make now, but it's not painful enough. That's why they haven't made it.
Yeah. Correct.
It's not painful enough. It's uncomfortable, but it's not painful enough. And the challenge is not waiting until it's painful to make the adjustment.
Wow.
And that's my testimony, man. Like it was seasons of pain when I felt as if, man, I don't even know how I can make it. I don't know where. Whew, something got to change.
Yes.
And that's what happened in my life.
Wow. Bro, you have blessed me tonight. You've blessed our viewing audience. We're live on Facebook and we're live on YouTube. One of the things I notice about my space is people keep going back, and we have a lot of people who they like to go back and watch and take notes and study it on their time. And so I want to encourage you guys, take some moment and extract what has been said for you. Okay, look at what you can learn from my brother and just choose to grab a hold of what's for you. I want to ask you a couple of questions off the cuff as we get ready to bring our talk to a close, because I want our people, I want to push the envelope a little bit. Okay, I want to push the envelope. When you think about Jermaine Walkins, how do you want to be remembered?
It's a good question, man. I think so I know we have a worldwide audience watching right now. But I mentioned before off camera that at some point I'm going home. And so I'm a nationalist. I love my country. And so a part of it is to make an impact in a place that I feel is a place of purpose for me. Right. The Bible says that when David served God's purpose for him, he fell asleep. And so I would like to be known as someone who pursued purpose, who fulfilled purpose, and his purpose left an impact.
Mm.
That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, and every day, Ricardo, without fail, I would pass certain cemeteries here and say, I refuse to die. I refuse to die here. I refuse. Because that would be an indictment to my purpose.
Wow.
And there are so many talents. The richest place is the graveyard, right? Books and songs and dreams, and really what it is purpose. And so I'm a purpose pusher. I want to not only push people towards their purpose, but I recognize that as my purpose. So I want to be known as someone who maximized and lived their purpose, man.
Yeah. When you another question I have for you, when you look at your Christian walk, what would you say is the most sustaining revelation that has kept you a believer? Uh, what's the aha that, let me tell you something. When that truth came alive to me, that was the thing that kept me in the midst of it all as a believer.
Yeah. Boy, that's hard to say which one, right? Um, it's hard to say that. I mean, I can look at grace
Yeah.
and understanding His grace is sufficient. And in seasons where I felt unworthy, I felt His grace. In seasons where I didn't have it, I saw His grace. In seasons where I made mistakes and I failed, I felt His grace. Um, I would say His grace, man. That um, for me, that has kept me going is God's grace. And so that's a hard one, though. I mean, because we need different things in different seasons, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but if I had to hold on to something, I would say is
Yes.
grace that I've experienced, and as a result of that, there's a transformative aspect of grace that allows us to extend grace as well. And
Yeah.
so I think I've been able to extend grace because I recognize my need for grace,
Yeah.
and so I would say grace.
Wow. So good.
Ask me that next year. I might have something different for you.
I believe that. I
Yeah,
believe that.
yeah,
Hey man, I've enjoyed this conversation so much, man. There are people watching us, and you have a call on your life to speak into the lives of others. Take a few minutes and just close us out and speak to that person who's wondering and in pursuit of purpose, and they just the I's haven't been dotted and the T's haven't been crossed, and they believe that the aging process has started to kick in, and they're wondering why things haven't triggered itself,
mm,
taken itself off like it should. What do you say to that person who's watching and they
yeah,
want to live life effectively,
yeah.
but they feel like they're far from it? What do you say?
Well, Ricardo, I'll say first and foremost, thank you for having me. And this is long overdue, as we mentioned, man. We're supposed
Yeah,
to do this long time,
yeah, yeah,
and it's been long overdue. So it's been a pleasure to be with you, man. Just to have a conversation and to have others watching, looking at our conversation.
yeah,
Um, but I think, uh, as I mentioned, the thing that I want to be known for is purpose, and I think that's because every one of us has it, right? It's the thing that every one of us possess. And the mere fact that you are alive today means that there's purpose, right? There's things that you don't understand, there's things that you may not agree with, but understanding that there is purpose. And I think wherever you are, no matter how high or high low you may be right now, is important to remember that you have a purpose. And so uh, delay doesn't mean denied, and a waiting season isn't a wasted season. And so I want to encourage you that effective living is living out your purpose. And so I want you to pursue purpose. Understand what that is, understand how to apply that, and understand that if you are alive, if you woke up this morning, if you're breathing, that means that God is not finished with you yet. I promise you, it may feel that way, it may feel broken, you may feel disheartened, you may feel low, but if you're alive, God is not done with you yet. And my favorite quote, I mean, I say it every day, I say it all the time, is I truly believe, and this is not something that cliche-ish that I say, but I truly believe that the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. And so when you understand that you have hope, when you understand that, you could get back up again. When you understand that, you can keep going because you recognize the best is yet to come. Man, I'm all about purpose, and I want you to understand that effective living is living out your purpose. So go and be who God has called you to be and do what God has called you to do.
So good. So good. Ladies and gentlemen, write it in the comment section. The best is yet to come. I truly believe that with all my heart as well. My brother, this was a great conversation. We're going to do this again. We got to
Yep.
lock you in and talk a few more, because I'm just amazed by the fact that some of the things we take for granted, someone is just now discovering. And tonight, we took some time out and just talk about some things that along the way you've discovered, and I can assure you, we take very lightly the truths that have come alive to us, because we feel as though now that we know it, everybody else should have already figured it out. Well, tonight I believe some people have some things to think about because of what you shared. So thank you so much for blessing our viewing audience, man. God bless you guys. Have a great night. Remember, guys, you are responsible for the decisions you make on a daily basis. Decide to live life effectively. Every night this week, I'm diving into a conversation with somebody just to awaken the truths that may need to be looked into as you embark on moving into the month of March and finishing the first quarter strong. God bless you guys. Have a good night. Thank you again, bro.